Hello everyone, welcome back to the Mermaid Mystic Substack and YouTube channels. We continue and almost wrap up our Major Arcana learning adventure this month with the card Judgment. We just have one more to go after this, the World. So grab your note-taking material because as you know, we're diving right in. So what do we have here in this card? We see that there's an angel in the sky holding a horn. There is a flag with a cross. We see these bodies rising up from coffins, welcoming the angel. What does it mean? Okay, so firstly, the angel in this card is Archangel Gabriel. Archangel Gabriel is said to be the messenger of the gods. So when you receive judgment in a reading, it is a message that you are indeed receiving a call from your higher self. Whatever that means to you, if that's God, if that's Great Spirit, pick your word. So you're receiving this call from, I'm just going to go say with your higher self for simplicity's sake for this video. You're getting a call from your higher self and is awakening you from all of the parts of your life in which you have been sleepwalking, in which you have been living in an unconscious manner, in which you've been on autopilot, in which you've been operating simply from conditioning. If you remember the card before this, it was the sun. In the sun, we have reconnected with that bright inner sun of who we really are, that authentic essence. It is now radiating from us. We have all of this clarity because the sun is clarity. We have all this joy. We have all this energy. Now, in Judgment, we're receiving the higher call, so this could be related to our sense of purpose. Now, when I say purpose, I think sometimes it's gotten a bit confused with like simply what we do, namely like a career. And while, yes, your purpose can be expressed that way, your purpose is really more about being the you that you were born to be in this lifetime. So discovering those gifts, allowing yourself to be who you really are, discovering it and sharing it with the world. So not such a teeny tiny lens. It's really just like self-discovery and authenticity. Think about purpose that way. And I find we can ease up on some of the pressure. So in Judgment, we now are seeing ourselves through the lens of the sun. So we're more authentic, we have more clarity. We've done some very heavy hitting shadow work by the time we get to these cards. We now are open to the calling of our higher self. Previously, we may not have listened. We may not have recognized this call. We may not have heeded it, but we're now ready to. What's really neat about this, with these people rising up from coffins, is that the planet associated with this card is Pluto. Okay. Let's nerd out because that's what we do here. So do we remember where else Pluto was? I will tell you. It is in the death card. Why? Because death is associated with the sign Scorpio. Now, Scorpio has two rulers, and this is because Scorpio has a traditional planetary ruler as well as a modern planetary ruler. The traditional ruler is Mars. The modern is Pluto. So therefore, because Pluto is present in the death card, Pluto and in Judgment as well, death and judgment are linked. Now, this is interesting because what you can view death as is that descent into the underworld that is necessary for the transformation and rebirth and power that Pluto represents. Pluto represents transformation, death and rebirth, resurrection. We have to kind of go into the underworld, so to speak, in order to discover what is holding us back in our shadow. And we've been doing this throughout the whole Major Arcana. You've seen card after card that's about confronting illusions, changing your perspective, letting go of what doesn't serve you, discovering who you really are. We've seen this step by step and to varying degrees through the cards. So you could see Judgment as the rise, the resurrection. See death as the descent, judgment as the rise. You have done some heavy hitting shadow work. You are no longer controlled by the cloudy, smoky illusions that had been holding you back. You are now clear to hear the calling of your higher self and clear to answer it. With this clarity also comes an invitation to see your life through a more bird's eye view. Think about how this angel is like high up. So you're encouraged when this card rolls up to take that step back and to look at your life from that bird's eye view so you can get a very loving but objective understanding of just where you are, how you got here, and where you want to go. In this place, we are more open to viewing our skills and our mistakes because we are not as defensive as we had been in the past with all the smoky shadow. Unaddressed shadow that becomes kind of smoky, makes our intuition harder to recognize. We are no longer as hindered by that in this card. So we have the clarity now to do it, which means that you are in a great space to look at your life and not be really defensive about errors or mistakes. It's funny because even though this card's called Judgment, you're like way less judgmental when this card rolls up. Because once you've gone through a lot of shadow work, one of its many gifts is that you actually strengthen and soften. Because you just recognize that, like, everyone is packing something. Everyone has wounds, everyone has conditioning, everyone, maybe not everyone, most people have a story that would probably make you feel very compassionate for them or empathize with them. And you just don't know it. But once you go through that yourself and you just recognize that you're going to go through that work again because that's life, you kind of ease up a bit on yourself and others. So you become stronger and less judgmental, and then also like kinder, more compassionate, and wiser. And that's what those are, these gifts of the Judgment card. This is now where you're getting the fruit of the work you did in the shadow, the fruit of the Tower, the fruit of the Devil, the fruit of the Death card. If we'd like to get really nerdy, and we do, Pluto is associated with Hades because Hades is Greek and Pluto is kind of like the Roman name / version. So Pluto is this god of the underworld, but also the god of underworld riches. Think like the riches below the soil, including the soil. So like roots or minerals like gold and stuff, right? I'm like, I don't science, but you know what I mean? The richness of the earth, the richness of the underworld, the richness of what is below the surface. This is a very important thing to remember. Shadow work is not about just putting on a dunce cap and being like, I've been bad. Shadow work is about discovering all of the gold in there and, in fact, seeing how some of the wounds and some of the stories and some of the old illusions become gold by facing them. They become your truth, they become your gifts, they become your medicine. In Judgment, you're rising up with that. So you've got all of this richness from your descent into the underworld. You are more powerful, you are less hindered, you are more clear. And in this place, you are able to see your life so much more clearly with way less judgment. So you can be like, oh yeah, I see why I held myself back there. But you're not like, I'm so bad. You're just like, I am human and I'm learning. Cool, no worries. You're also more likely to see your gifts, but you're more likely to be like, I'm actually rather good at that. And I think I'd like to share that with the world more. So that's where we get to this flag, this crossroads. In Judgment, with that clarity, you're receiving a higher calling, you're having the benefits of shadow work, you're viewing your life through a way more loving but objective lens, and now it's time to make some decisions. So Judgment is indeed a call to make decisions. What are you being called to do? How can you view your life with this loving objectivity, and then to make choices aligned with that? Not to make choices aligned with the previous choices of the more shadow side of yourself. Okay, my friends, so this is a card of rebirth. This is a wonderful card. People get really scared of this card, but I hope I've communicated. It has so much medicine and so much wisdom. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for being here. Stay tuned for the last major arcana card coming up next, the World.